Hey guys, Dusty here. Today I'm giving my review on the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3. Alright, so I've ran in the shoe so much since buying it that we're just going to skip my initial review and go straight into the full review. And like always, I'll go over the basic stats on the shoe, my experience using it, and finally my final thoughts and how I'll use it going forward. So the Endorphin Pro 3 is certainly a max cushion shoe, and it has a stack height of 39.5 in the rear, 31.5 in the forefoot for a heel to toe drop of 8 millimeters. My men's size 8.5 weighs in at a very light 7.1 ounces or 202 grams. And I found the Pro 3 does fit true to size. No issues with the width either. Not too narrow, not too wide. Pretty average in my opinion. Love the upper on the shoe. It's very lightweight and breathable. It almost looks like a fishnet. You can even see 3 holes cut out of the tongue. The tongue is gusseted, and it is a very short tongue. So when I first got the shoe, I thought there might be an issue with this tongue sliding down too far, but I haven't experienced that once. Once the shoe's on your foot, no issues at all with the tongue sliding down too far or moving around side to side. I will say I really appreciate the laces Saucony has put on the shoe. Sometimes with these high-end race shoes, the company's trying to save half a gram, 1 gram, and they put on these really lightweight, flimsy laces, and that's not the case with this shoe. These laces are pretty substantial, and I haven't had any issues with them coming untied, so I really appreciate the nice laces on the shoe. And for those of you wondering, the insole in the shoe is not removable. You have a touch of padding inside the heel collar. As far as the heel counter, not much of one. It's pretty floppy heel. And I will say my very first run in the shoe, I wore socks that were very low cut, and they actually fell down a bit further when I was running in them. And because of that, I had really bad blisters on both of my Achilles and heels after my first run in the shoe. Since that run, I've just worn socks that come up a bit higher, and it's solved all my blister problems. But for those of you that still do experience blisters, there is that extra eyelet on the shoe, so you could just tie them up using the heel lock, and that should prevent any excess heel slippage. Other than that blister issue after my first run, no issues with the lockdown of the shoe. Really enjoying it so far. Now we move along to the midsole. Now the midsole on all of these high-end race day shoes is what is either going to make the shoe very special or not so special. And in Saucony's case, they've really outdone themselves with the Power Run PB midsole in the new Endorphin Pro 3. So they've added more onto the midsole. It's a max stack shoe at 39.5 millimeters of stack height in the rear. Very cushioned, very soft, bouncy, responsive feeling. It's obviously still a super lightweight shoe. My men's 8.5 weighs in almost under 7 ounces, which is crazy. And it's a very stable feeling shoe. I'll put up some slow motion footage for you. You can see I have a little bit of pronation. It's usually not enough to go into a stability shoe, but if you compare me running in the Endorphin Pro 3 to another shoe like the Vaporfly, you can tell that the Saucony is holding my foot a lot more stable than the Vaporfly and a lot of the other super shoes out there. Oh, and then yes, of course, inside this midsole there is an S-shaped carbon fiber plate. It adds a ton of stiffness to the shoe. Saucony also uses what they call speed roll technology, and it's just going to help you move along through your gait cycle nice and smooth. I'm typically more of a heel striker, sometimes midfoot strike, depending on how fast I'm running. And in some of my runs, I've changed up my running style from forefoot to midfoot to heel strike just to see how this shoe feels and performs at different foot strikes. And I gotta say, this shoe feels really nice at all foot strikes and all different types of paces. I've done lots of race pace work in the shoe. I've done intervals at much faster than race pace, and I've even taken this shoe out for a couple of easy runs. And I gotta say, if I had to, I would wear this shoe every day for every type of run. I feel like this shoe is certainly one of the more, if not the most versatile race day options out there. And just as an example, up until this point, my race day shoe of choice would easily have been the Nike Vaporfly Next Percent 1 or 2. That shoe feels very aggressive. It doesn't feel good at all when you're running easy. The faster you can run in that shoe, the better. The longer you can hold proper run form, the better in the Nike. And in this shoe, there's a lot more wiggle room for running easy. When your form starts to fall apart, it's still going to be a very stable platform to land on, unlike the Vaporfly. Then we move along to the outsole. Tons of rubber coverage. It seems to be gripping just fine on wet pavement. And so far, over about 60 miles or 100K, it appears to be very durable. So for me, I wear out my shoes the most on the lateral side of the heel, especially the left one. And my pair is showing a little bit of wear, but it's not excessive. And through 100K, they feel basically exactly how they did when I pulled them out of the box. Now the price of the Endorphin Pro 3 comes in at $225 US or 300 Canadian, which means that this shoe has gotten one of the biggest price increases that I've seen in the last year or two. So the Saucony Endorphin Pro 2 came in at 250 Canadian. So this shoe in Canada at least has seen a $50 price increase. And yes, while spending $300 on a pair of running shoes is very excessive, I would say the Endorphin Pro is now kind of in that top tier of running shoes, whereas before maybe it was kind of on tier 2, not tier 1. And to be honest, it still is coming in cheaper than the Asics Metaspeed Sky and Edge. It's coming in quite a bit less expensive than the Nike Vaporfly and especially the Alphafly. And so far from what I can tell, you're probably going to get a lot more life and more versatile training out of the Endorphin Pro than probably any of those other shoes in the top tier race day market. So even though I've done some awesome workouts in this shoe, I haven't actually raced in it yet. I am racing in 3 weeks tomorrow, and I will say last year I did the same race and there was just a sea of Nikes at the starting line. Everyone was in a Nike Vaporfly or an Alphafly, and I think this time around, I think at starting lines we're going to be seeing a lot more of this shoe. Basically over the last, I think, 2 years now, I've just been waiting for a shoe to kind of dethrone the Nike Vaporfly Next Percents. And I have to say this shoe, the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3, has come the closest. I'm not going to decide yet if this is a better shoe than the Nike. Let me wait 3 more weeks, and then I'll do my race. Hopefully I have a good race, and then yeah, I might have a new go-to race day shoe for half marathon and full marathon. So when we break it all down, if I had 2 negatives about this shoe, the first one I fixed after my first run. That was my blister issue, but I think I just wore socks that were cut down too low. And then another silly little thing is the last run I did, I wore white socks, and the pink actually rubbed off from the tongue onto my socks. Again, not a huge deal. Just keep that in mind when you wear these, that you might have some bleeding from the material onto your socks. But as far as the ride, cushion, support, everything that makes a shoe important, as far as that goes, this shoe is definitely an A or an A+ in my opinion. And if I left anything out of this review, just leave a comment down below and I'll get back to you. And if you like the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe for more everything running. And like always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.